Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Loopy Doods podcast. It is me, Drew, from Parks Bros, as well as
me, Mario from Mostly Coasters. It's a me.
And we're back. We're actually doing this thing. This is what I guess we're gonna make
it 2 weeks later.
Yeah, bi-weekly. I guess is what we're gonna do from now on, which is great.
Better than biannually.
Exactly. I mean, this is what, episode 7, I believe.
That sounds right to me.
A firework just went off outside, like right next to my building.
Happy 4th of July,
yeah,
everybody.
happy early 4th of July. When this comes out, it's been quite.
This is not going to get posted till 4th of July now. Now that you said that.
Hopefully before. But it's been quite the eventful couple weeks in the amusement park and theme park industry. Lots of changes. So. Summertime is in full swing now officially at the parks, and I still have not been to a park in like a month. That's typical of me in summer, though.
When's the last time you went to a park? Arctic Rescue?
Yeah, Arctic Rescue.
Me too, man. I was just complaining to Javi. I was like, I haven't been to a park in forever. And she's like, go. I'm like, yeah, but it's summertime.
Yeah, and Knott's this week is gonna be. It's gonna be every park really.
It's like the weather's worse, the crowd levels are worse. Yeah. My attitude's clearly worse.
But it's been quite the eventful couple of weeks. We've missed on a lot of news that literally happened starting days after our last podcast and has now gone up until literally an hour prior to starting recording this, which is just kind of insane. And a lot of it has to do with maintenance with the rides. I don't know if we want to just hop into this or not, but we could start with Mind Blower officially reopened after a little bit of downtime with its retracking with the 208.
We'll get to Fury, by the way.
Yes, we will talk about that.
That's probably the most clickbaity thing. So.
Yeah, it'll probably be in the thumbnail because that literally just happened about an hour ago. But yeah, 208 retrack from RMC on Mind Blower that officially reopened. I think just about 2 weeks ago now, and
something like that. Too quickly, apparently.
Yeah, the reviews are very, very iffy on it, which is a big bummer because I've experienced the RMC 208 track when I went to Silverwood a couple years back on their what I would say their star attraction, Tremors, and it was incredibly smooth, transitioned very well. And I would say a perfect replacement for a lot of that wood track. Now, on Mind Blower, it's been kind of the opposite from what we've been able to see. The transitions between the wood and steel, insane bumps of like a 2-inch jump. So you just get this crazy jolt. Like literally like an 1/8-inch sheet of steel being the only thing supporting the train at some points. Even if it's just for an inch, it's still pretty significant in comparison to a lot of other coasters out there. And while those sections are smoother, the transitions into them and the rest of the wood track is just as rough, if not worse. Mario, you've gotten way more rides on this than I have. I only got to ride it on, I think, Veterans Day of 2021. I got like 5 rides in.
But yeah. It was like a rainy day, perfect conditions for like a wooden coaster, apparently. I didn't realize how smooth like old wooden roller coasters could be in the rain. Rode Grizzly in the rain as well for the first time prior to its retrack, which that also reopened from a retrack.
Yeah, it did.
But Mind Blower, when we rode it with Cliff in the rain, it was fantastic. It was very rough, but not painful as long as you took breaks in between.
Yeah.
But you never got to experience it with Dry Track, where it was shakier, slower. And it is very disappointing to see that the general consensus is that this ride is not much smoother, if it is at all, overall. Definitely looking at the footage, it runs through the layout faster. So like it probably is bouncing around like the slightest bit less. Maybe there's like less speed lost due to friction. Because it is definitely tearing through the layout faster. I think that's like visibly noticeable. But yeah, I mean, the whole point was not for it to run faster and more aggressive. I don't think it needed any help in that department.
It definitely didn't. I mean, it was, for me, during that one day that I rode it, it was already a top 25 coaster. It was phenomenal.
But I will say, though, like on that day, it was running faster than non-rainy days where the track is like expanded.
It's just such a bummer because that ride is so good, but even then on the smoothest day that we were able to ride it, it was still shaking us up quite a bit. I got a headache a couple times. Had to ride in the back row, if not second to back row, because anywhere past that, it was like immediate headache from the first drop. But yeah, it's a real bummer. I hope they just retrack the whole thing at this point, make it just a full-on steel coaster, because I feel like more people would be inclined to check it out. Because I would much rather go back to that ride when it's perfectly smooth than the roughness it probably is running at right now.
Yeah, and I think I think it would be nice, and people would like to see if it could just like get a little more time put into it, because I think a lot of people are speculating that maybe it was just a little rush, because it was a very quick turnaround from being closed, being worked on, and then being open again.
Yeah, it was like a month, right? Maybe even less.
Something like that, I think. Yeah, I mean, a month sounds about right. So I mean, that does definitely seem like
for one day and then reopened to the public. So
yeah, I mean, that definitely does seem like a very quick turnaround.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully they can do some more work on it in the future, because like I feel like it's not the actual 208 track, it's just how it was implemented and how rushed that job seemed to be. That has me kind of concerned, and definitely seems to have made the ride just as rough as it was, or maybe just a tiny bit smoother than what it was.
I'm trying to see if I can find any like footage of it running to throw in here, but yeah, I mean, you can look it up for yourself. I'm not finding any like recent footage of it, but if you just look up like Mindblower running with like retrack or whatever, it's noticeably faster.
Yeah, so, it looks insane, like unbelievably fast. Like kind of scary, to be honest, in the coaster enthusiast best way, if you will.
Especially like knowing how fast it already ran before, like seeing an increase on top of its like, I mean, it's a small coaster, so it's like it's all relative to its like scale and everything, but it's just like the pace at which it moves through like each individual layout is stupid. Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah,
or I guess not so good way, since it's rough still.
Yeah, it's a very varied thing, I guess. I just don't, I have so many thoughts about it, both positive and negative. Like, it's great, but it needs more. Or like, some things are worse now, but is that really to the benefit of the ride overall if certain things are worse? And it's a very kind of odd situation for me to kind of wrap my mind around. But I will have to say this, though. I have experienced both 208 track and Titan track, just that small section of it, and other fun spot on White Lightning. I will say I do think White Lightning's track and the Titan track is a smoother overall build. But I do think that that in part probably has to do with the fact that it's actually made by GCI and to be used with GCI specific trains, where the 208 track is for any wooden coaster. Realistically, they can kind of cater it to whatever. And I've experienced it on both a PTC train and a Timberliner train, or I have not been on the Timberliner train version of it, I guess I should say. But I can't imagine it faring well with Timberliners, because any coaster that uses Timberliner trains over the height of like 75 or 80 feet seems to really struggle with roughness.
Yeah, apparently that's the case. Yeah, that's what I hear as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the other thing is we'd have to ride it firsthand. We haven't ridden it firsthand, so it's all just like speculation. Mm-hmm. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, the Grizzly retrack at King's Dominion seems to be getting glowing reviews. Yeah, not a full retrack there either, but I guess in a positive way, there's a noticeable difference between the new track versus the old track. everything I've heard is that the new track is smooth as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get like to a couple of the turns that are still on the old track, you're like, holy crap. But I think that is a good thing because it's like, wow, what has been fixed very well. So a good thing there as well. I know that's not a coaster that you're familiar with, but it's a great, just classic, like oval, double out and back or whatever layout. With solid airtime hills, and the only problem was with it when Javi and I rode it last year was our spines felt funky afterwards. So if that's not going to be the case anymore on that, that's really awesome. So yeah.
Also, I think the drop is steeper on it as well. Was one of the changes.
Oh, was that one of the things? Okay.
Yeah, I think they pretty much gave it the same treatment that Beast got at Kings Island last year, which the drop was steeper. They retracked most of it, especially the turns.
And was it GCI or Gravity Group that did this one? I forget. I can look it up right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm capable of doing that with fingers.
I thought it was Gravity Group that did Kings Island. So it wouldn't shock me if it was Gravity Group again.
I don't know because I am dumb. No, that's Grizzly, not a movie, a ride.
I think it's Gravity.
They were posting about it all over social media, and I was paying attention, and then now I don't remember.
Because I can't.
Regardless, it's dope.
I can't think of an example of GCI going into a coaster without the Titan retrack to retrack a wooden coaster that they did not build.
Yeah, okay, let me see. Rebirth of Grizzly. Oh, I could pull this up on the screen. We're trying a new format, too, so bear with me if it's not very good. Rebirth of Grizzly, retrack. Let's see. Gravity Group. So there you go.
Well, so it's that brings up another interesting point. With their wooden retracks, they seem to be smooth as can be. I mean, Racer felt like a steel coaster with the wooden track that Gravity Group put on it.
Right.
But Mindblower, for some reason, maybe it's just the Florida and it's crazy weather and running year round, but like
but that shouldn't affect like well, okay, so I don't remember if you said already, but what have you heard about like the steel track in particular? Like, is that problematic as well, or is it just
the 208 track?
It still has, yeah.
Well,
like on Mindblower specifically, because I know you say like it's great in general.
Yeah, well, so from the pictures and videos I've seen, it does look like it wasn't perfectly matched to the wood track sections that they were.
Oh, okay, so it's just like the transitions. Gotcha,
yeah. So like some transitions it's literally a hop, like just a random speed bump. So I don't know if it's just it's a really weird thing that happened with Mindblower, and I don't think many people really understand what happened with it, whether it was just a rush job or they were just testing it out, which I think it's more in the lines of they were probably just testing it to see how it worked. But yeah, it's a very odd situation, and I can only hope they add more 208 track to it just to make it a more cohesive ride all around.
Yeah. But it's so weird because it definitely doesn't seem to be a specifically GCI, Gravity Group thing. Yeah. And then also Zambezi Zinger opened up at Worlds of Fun, and I've heard that's
Did it
not
open?
the smoothest thing in the world. Yeah, it opened like a week ago, or
did it?
Something like that. Did it?
I just know it had a bunch of delayed openings. They had to cancel media day like 2 days before because they were missing a part and needed to ship it from.
Yeah, I know there was a whole bunch of funkiness going on with it.
So I never actually knew when it officially opened because I never saw media day footage. I never saw, outside of like the POV, I've seen the basic POV of it. But that was
it says now open on the website. So
okay,
there you go.
Okay. And I know there were some YouTubers that visited the park recently and it did not open for them at all. So it's still struggling for sure.
That is unfortunate. But yeah, I've heard that is not like the smoothest thing in the world too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of all over the place, it seems. I don't know if it's just like an installation thing or what, because I know that was like part of the speculation with mind blower in the first place, because I mean that was gravity group from the get go. So yeah, who knows?
Well, Zinger is a GCI.
Oh crap! I'm so stupid. Yeah, I'm so dumb.
So it uses the Titan track in those metal portions. And
right.
Then,
okay. But the Titan track on the little bit of white lightning at the other fun
it's
spot
also
is
it's also the
perfectly
Infinity
good for that
Flyer
little
trains
chunk.
too. So I don't know if that makes a difference because it's a brand new train type
versus
for
the
them.
new trains. Yeah.
So like, because we're
Who
used
knows,
to the
man? Too many
Millennium
variables.
Flyers, right? We have Millennium Flyers on all of the wooden coasters in Southern California, with the exception of Giant Dipper, which has a Morgan.
Both Giant Dippers.
Well, I said SoCal.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Correctly.
But like, those are fine. I've been on plenty of Millennium Flyers, so I don't know what the Infinity Flyer would really change outside of the lap bar that would, I don't know, make it a less enjoyable experience. It's kind of tough to say.
I don't know, man.
We'll have to
But
get
it's so
to
weird.
Kansas City, I guess.
Very weird.
So,
I guess so.
yeah.
But should we talk about the big screwed up thingy in coaster world, at least like within the last few hours?
Yeah, I think you can
this?
start us off with it. I have to go grab something to prepare.
Oh, you're preparing something. Wow. Okay. Yeah, sure. This is still Zambezi Zinger. Hello, Zambezi Zinger. Goodbye, Zambezi Zinger. Yeah, so for anyone that is not aware, I just found this out a couple minutes ago, so Drew will probably do a better job of explaining it, honestly. Fury 325. Oh, nope, that made me disappear. That made Drew disappear, Jesus. Where is it? Oh, it's not in this one. Okay, I'll just show this then. You don't get to see our beautiful faces for 2 seconds. Fury 325 has a little, well, not so little, rather, crack in its support.
Clean through.
As you can see from this little screenshot or screen recording, right up here is a big old crack, a big old split in the support. And as you can see, as this is a video, the ride was operating with that big old crack.
Yeah.
And you can see the sway of supports is good, normal. I mean, if supports didn't sway, they would crack regularly.
True. Very true.
Someone with a background in physics or any science really could tell you more accurately. But the swaying of supports is good. The top of the support that's still attached to the track is swaying, while the bottom of the support does not move at all, which obviously means there is a disconnect.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Oh man. Yeah.
Drew, you want to set it up a little bit better? Because I only saw this like a few minutes ago when you posted it in Discord.
Yeah. So I only saw it from El Toro Ryan's Instagram story. That's what that screenshot is from in Screen Grab. I guess it was posted on Facebook prior, and then it was on Reddit afterward. It kind of spread like wildfire. Of course, this is going to spread like wildfire. But yeah, there is a clean break on the B frame support on that apparently very high positive G turn, because it's high enough G to just cut that clean. I've never seen something like that. I've seen like small fractures in track before, and maybe like small little fractures in supports, but nothing as clean a break as that, which is just kind of astonishing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I have not seen that before. That is pretty wild. You put a hat on? Wait, what? Wait, what? I've not been looking at my screen. I mean, I've been trying to figure out switching. Like,
I gotta get ready for all the construction talk we're gonna be talking about, because
it looks so
I gotta
stupid.
Gotta make sure.
Oh man.
I'm
just
prepared.
Have that lying around, just playing dress up as a construction worker these days. So you're doing
I kid you not. I have it just for this bit, and you didn't realize for about 3 minutes.
Oh my god. No, because I was too busy trying to figure out how to show everybody the video and our faces at the same time. Technology is so complicated.
But yeah, it's pretty remarkable what has happened with Fury 325. We actually, Cliff, one of our good buddies, literally wrote it last week at CoasterCon, because he was there at Dollywood and Carowinds. It's kind of like, I'm flabbergasted at it. Just because of how clean that break is. So there must have been like a hairline fracture for a while there that just wasn't noticed, or maybe it just split randomly this morning. It's kind of, we won't really know until there's probably an investigation done. But my thought process is, when B&M designed this ride, how did they think that support would be okay on that turn?
Yeah, I mean, and as somebody that's ridden Fury 325, that I mean, it's obviously a high G-force turn. But to your point of like, did people just not notice or what? I think, I definitely think that this had to have recently happened. There's no way.
It had to
run
happen
more than a few cycles without people noticing. There's
it had to happen
way.
last
Even
night
just
or today.
public concern. Yeah.
Well, because especially with that ride in particular, you can walk along pretty much the whole track, because it's right next to the parking lot, the entryway.
Super cool thing about it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thing that I like about the ride.
It must have happened in the last 24 hours is all I can think. And
yeah,
it's kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. And hopefully it gets a new support
mind-blowing.
Hopefully it gets a new support in soon. Hopefully it can be operational later in the season. It is definitely going to be down for a while, though.
I mean, that's a hefty repair. That's not something like, a chain lift wore out, so we'll just get a new one from one of the most
even then it'll still
manufacturers
take
in the
months
world
at this point for a chain repair. So.
But that's something that is replaceable.
Yeah.
And I'll speak less on chains, but a wheel, those are changed out daily. You know what I mean? So it's not like, a wheel blew out, we need to replace that. The coaster can be up and running later today or tomorrow or a week or whatever, It's not expected wear and tear. Or even on a wooden coaster, I mean, you'll replace a few pieces of the supports every now and then, or you'll do wooden track work and replace the track. That support's supposed to last the entire duration of that ride's life cycle. That support is so. I'm really curious to see how they're going to go about fixing that, because that is not a quick fix.
I'm sure B&M still has the files, somewhere, and if not, I'm sure they could figure out how to design that support. It's not anything different, or even a brand new support if they feel like they need to do that. But it's gonna take a while, I'm sure. Obviously, I think by the time this comes out, an announcement of some sort, or it'll at least go down officially. It's kind of unknown territory for coasters at this point. We've seen. I
feel bad for Carowinds, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
That's not their fault. They did not construct the ride. That's kind of on B&M with this one, I feel like.
But that's.
Oh my god! I need to stop looking at you.
That's the newest. That's the newest of the downtime news that we have heard. There's been a lot of coaster downtime as of late.
Everything's fine.
My watch is now stuck on my safety vest and won't. Oh no! Okay, I got it. After Fury, though, El Toro officially has reopened after being down for
let's go.
I believe 8 months in total. Does that sound about right?
I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with that. Because I don't go to that park, unfortunately. Never.
Yeah, that was another pretty major incident with El Toro, with the last car on the train apparently fishtailing and just destroying a bunch of track. But it has officially reopened as of, I believe, last week, and it's been running just as smooth, if not a little bit smoother than it was prior, and getting rave reviews again.
That's the second time, though, that it had a derailment issue, right? Or I guess the park was like, no, it didn't derail. It just it didn't. It wasn't off the track, but it wasn't on the track. But it wasn't off of the track.
There was a pretty big pothole at some point that was I believe caused 1 or 2 injuries. Which they did fix that problem, which is great to see. I'm very, very
But it's
happy
had
about
multiple instances of not making it through the layout without the last couple of years.
Well,
like more than just like there was a
quite
gust of wind
regularly,
and an empty train,
but-
so the train valleyed. Like it just had like multiple instances of
if
tomfoolery.
if my memory serves correct, I think the first instance you're talking about was the pothole incident, and they made it back to the station, and there was just the whole train was in pain, and like somebody bit their tongue and was bleeding out the mouth, and something along those lines. I can't really speak on this too well. We'll probably put a link down to an article in the description.
That's more than tomfoolery. That's for sure.
Yeah. And but they have redone a bunch of these supports. You can check out Ryan's video, El Toro Ryan. He's got some great videos talking about the changes they've made to all the support structures and the different bolts they're using and the techniques with that. And yeah, it's back open. It's doing its thing. But of course, right before it reopened, King Dakar went down because the cable snapped.
Oh, did it really? I did
it
not
really
even know
did. But thankfully, that has just reopened, I believe, as of a couple of days ago now. So at least they were able to get that under control.
See, that's what I mean. That an intimate accelerator having a cable snap. Come on, been there, done that.
Yeah.
That happens. That happens every other day. But the support snapping, like that's.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, both are horrible, and I guess major safety concerns. So come on, parks or manufacturers.
But
someone's to blame. I don't know who.
At least
get
with
your
King
stuff
Dakar,
together. Someone.
It's reopened again, which is great. It's not going to be down the rest of the year. At least I'm going to knock on wood now. But yeah, that's great to see. Speaking of the accelerator coasters, though, I think from King Dakar.
Oh my god! I just looked at there's so much on.
There's a lot of things. Another intimate accelerator that we can talk about is Accelerator, the first of which that opened at Knott's Berry Farm. The park officially announced over the Orange County Register late last week that it should. They're hoping to reopen it sometime this summer. So that's great to see. They've gotten to replace the parts that they need, and hopefully we'll be reopening it very soon. But there's no definitive date on that yet. But it's going to be nice because it's been closed since March of last year. And even when it was open, it was running for 3 months straight, only on Saturdays and Sundays with only one train. So hopefully they can run 2 trains on it and daily.
I missed that ride, man, because I think you and I were talking about this like privately the other day. There's a secret private conversation. No, just not on the podcast that we don't do ever. That park is a great park.
Mm-hmm.
But we went like back-to-back weeks, and the first trip we didn't do like every ride there, and then the second trip, aside from lines playing a factor as well, we were like, oh, we did pretty much everything that's open. It would just be nice like to disperse some crowds if they had like a couple more rides open. So that ride really needs to go back up.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss it. I miss getting like kicked in the back down a roller coaster track.
Well, you've also been on that. You did
Bars.
41 rides in one day on Accelerator? Was it something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, 40, at least 40. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
It's just
doing
fun,
that,
man. It's fun. It's not too intense. It's just a little short.
It's pretty freaking intense. It's still got the most intense launch I've ever experienced. So
yeah, same. So I want to experience it again.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be reopening soon, which is great to hear. Especially after such an extended amount of downtime. This is the second time, or I guess third time if you count the pandemic closure, that it's been down for more than a year in the past 5 years. Somebody did the math. It has been down for 53% of its lifetime.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. And I'd be curious to see just like over the last like 10 years alone how much that is.
10 years, it's probably...
Or even just the last 5, because like you said, the last 5, it's like not been open
last
like
5,
at
it's
all.
only been open for maybe 20% of the last 5. So
yeah.
Because there are so many individual days it's just down randomly because something's wrong with it. But it is an experimental coaster. It was a first of its kind.
Right.
And also, I believe it's beyond its service life now. I think Intamin only said it had like a 15-year service life, and it's it opened in 2002 or 3, so it's already over 21.
But if we're going based off of service life, assuming it's operating regularly,
yeah, true.
and it still has like half of its service life ahead of it.
But
really.
talking about more
Clearly.
intimate accelerators, we can move on to Top Thrill Dragster.
I'm over this thing at this point, man.
Me too.
It's just like I think you're in the same boat. Like I could like, you know, be like bubbly and conversational about this, be like, oh, I'm so interested to see what's gonna happen. I don't care.
Yeah.
When we find out what's gonna happen, we'll find out what's gonna happen. I'm just so over it. Stop telling me it's gonna have this, it's gonna have that. You don't know anything. I mean, it's like fine if you're just having fun or whatever, but it's just like, ugh, I'm so over it.
I agree.
Sometimes
totally.
when you're a coaster enthusiast, you just get a little fatigue with the community and coasters in general. You're like, I just want to ride them and have fun. We're simultaneously talking about how it feels like we haven't been to a park in too long when it's only been 1 month, and for a normal person, that would be like, okay,
they go maybe
well,
twice
whatever.
a year at most.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah.
But so at the same time, we're like, oh my God, I need to go on a coaster. And then at the same time, we're like, oh my God, can people shut up about coasters while we're posting like videos every other day about roller coasters? But for Top Thrill Drag, I'm so over it, man. Like
The
every
speculation
5
train
minutes,
has been
someone's saying
crazy
something
with it.
new about it.
Yeah, totally.
And if you're having fun, like it's no hate, whatever. But it's just like, I don't care.
But at the same time, you have people being like, oh yeah, it's going to be 550 feet tall with a twisted spike, and it'll have like an inversion in it. And it's like, whoa. Let's temper your expectations a little bit here.
I mean, it could, but that sounds... have you ever heard of the term pipe dream? That's what that sounds like.
But there is 3 different...
Is that like a pipeline coaster?
Footers. Oh, pipeline. There are 3 different footers near Iron Dragon, and what definitely seems to be the backwards spike. I think everybody can kind of agree at this point that is most likely what's going to happen with it. But yeah, that's about it for Top Thrill. We're just kind of sick of it. And also, that ride has caused us more just stress.
Oh yeah,
than
it almost made us
anything.
late for our flight.
Yeah, the one day
when
it
we did
actually
our first
opened
Cedar Point trip.
on our 2019 Cedar Point trip. The one day it opened was, and it literally took. We waited 4 hours in line with it just testing on and off. And
I mean, we waited like 20 minutes in an official line, but yeah, we waited. We stood around waiting for like hours just to get on the darn thing.
well, and then if we didn't do that, though, we would have been in the entire queue because the entire
and
queue
it's
filled up.
overrated.
Yeah, it's very
overrated.
Yeah,
we both. I don't know.
I mean, I'm
It's
very
fun,
glad I got
but,
the one
like,
ride on it, but
I'll do a million other things with my time before riding Top Thrill
I would
Dragster.
ride Gemini 50 times before.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, that day, if we could have chose between the two, I would have just marathon Gemini.
I think literally the only reason we did it is because it was Zach's most anticipated coaster of the trip.
Correct. Yeah.
Otherwise,
and also it's
I
like,
mean, I guess y'all hadn't been on it too.
I
so.
wanted to go on it just to get on it because I didn't know how that was in comparison to Accelerator, but I definitely prefer Accelerator by quite a long ways.
So do I.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to get back on it. I'll be stoked to get back on it after they do whatever they do to it. But even in its like most recently operating form, I would be curious just to, see if my opinions have changed. And I mean, it's cool to go 400 feet up in the air, but it's like you're there and then you're gone, and then it's like, oh, okay, cool.
I'd rather go on Millennium Force and be 3/4 of that height, but for 5 times as long.
Longer and faster, feeling the majority of the more time. Words good.
Yeah.
Me, words, I know how to use them.
Yep. Yep.
What else we got?
So that'll probably be backward spike. Excited about that. I think it'll be a better overall ride. But I guess we can move on to one of our last bullet points that we have. You went to Virginia last year.
Oh yeah. Last week? Is that what you said?
No, last year. No, Cliff was there last week, but
yes, Cliff was there
with his new number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I have full videos on them, so head on over to youtube.com/@mostlycoast or just @mostlycoast. I don't know what they're doing with the whole @ thing.
Yeah,
go to my YouTube channel and you can see me visiting the parks and hear all my thoughts on them and experiences and whatnot.
And I definitely recommend that. He's got some great videos from Virginia.
Oh, thank you. People liked them, apparently. They were well performing relative to my tiny little channel. But, just briefly, I think, the main takeaway and the thing that I have been complaining about to you the most not a complaint about the two major parks out there in Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and Kings Dominion, but rather a complaint about people's perception and comparison of the two. Because people don't give Kings Dominion the credit it deserves. And I know Cliff was of the same opinion, but it is a beautiful park. It gets overlooked maybe because Busch Gardens is like always voted the most beautiful park. And it probably is the most beautiful park I've been to, just as far as like being in a beautiful natural environment and having great landscaping. But Kings Dominion is also in Virginia, which is just a beautiful state in general.
Yeah.
So even without the concerted effort to try to be the absolute best of the best, and instead just trying to be as good as they can be, it's a phenomenal looking park, and that's ignoring the coasters, because a lot of people are like, okay, they have coasters. They treat it kind of like how people talk about like Six Flags Magic Mountain, you know, like, cool, it has coasters, but that's it. That's not the case at all with Kings Dominion, man. It has like I was just talking about, a great appearance, great ambiance. It has great rides for kids. And then on top of that, it has fantastic coasters. And in that coaster lineup, there's a ton of variety. And I always appreciate when there are limited gaps in intensity level. So they have like a perfect lineup as far as just similar to Kings Island too. So, I mean, you can relate to this, but just having great rides for kids specifically, great starter coasters and starter rides, stuff that's more middle of the road, and then having the big stuff. So, I mean, obviously you have one of the best, most intense coasters in the world with I-305. And then you have good stuff at the bottom with Woodstock Express. I mean, you got to ride Woodstock Express at Kings Island, and I think you think that that's a great middle of the road / like almost borderline starter coaster.
I would say starter coaster for sure. Maybe kind of past that, because you do have like Great Pumpkin at Kings Island. That's easily the best starter coaster there. But,
true. And I don't know if I'm blanking on anything at Kings Dominion that's like a true starter coaster.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I couldn't.
Probably. I'm sleep deprived.
I'm sure there's a smaller kiddie coaster there. I mean, I can check our CDB real quick.
I think they have an ENF miler as well. They might
better,
have
because
pumpkin
it's all about the High Miler Club merch coming soon.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Okay. We're obsessed with mid to large scale ENF milers. That's not the point. Jesus Christ! Sorry for this jumbled, sleep deprived. I don't even know how to talk.
Yeah, they have a Great Pumpkin coaster as well, which is an ENF miler.
Yeah. So they have a true kiddie ENF miler coaster, which I could go on for hours about whether or not those are actually very good kiddie coasters, because they're a little too wild. Anyway, they have a fantastic Camp Snoopy. They have a great Camp Snoopy, just like Kings Island does. So if you don't want to go on coasters, there's the tiniest things to go. They have a Boo Blaster, so a great indoor ride. And that one has more of an indoor queue than the one at like Carowinds, which is like pretty much just all outdoors. So it's like you can get away from the heat. You can get a little bit of theming, which is not typical of a regional theme park, or amusement park rather. And then you have good middle of the road stuff like Backlot Stunt Coaster. I know you and Zach weren't the biggest fan of it at Kings Island, but I'm sure you can recognize that it is good for younger riders. I think part of the problem was too is that you guys were too big for the restraints to be perfectly comfortable. So if you're a younger rider
in the back,
yeah, so if you're a younger rider, it's not going to be as big of a deal. And what else do they have that's middle of the road? Now, Grizzly is not terrible for you. Racer was recently retracked partially, I believe.
Racer, and I guess, would be... Oh, Reptilian. Reptilian, I would say, is like the perfect middle of the road
Reptilian,
coaster.
When they have a Wild Mouse also.
Yeah.
So it's like they have something.
Little
they have something for
action.
every level of coaster rider. And then also a phenomenal RMC. Like the fact that Twisted Timbers is that the one? Yeah, okay. All the Twisted and
okay.
That's another rant. I'm just
I do have a
stop
question
before I even go down the road.
on Twisted Timbers for you. I'm gonna stop
Twisted
you.
Timbers is no. I'm gonna
want to stop you.
Uno reverse your Uno reverse. I'm gonna stop you stomping me. It's so phenomenal for how tiny it is. Like, it's ridiculous. What's your question? You're allowed to speak now.
I'm going to spoil this from Cliff because we talked to Cliff for a little while about his experience on his entire road trip, which if you don't follow Cliff, go follow him on Instagram at Analog Thrills. He went to Virginia.
He takes a lot of good digital pictures on there. I make that stupid joke every time.
He went to Virginia. He went to Dollywood. He went to Carowinds. He went to Georgia. And he was telling us that he wants to go back to Virginia. He's kind of been like, I wanted to go to Virginia this summer if I could afford it. It didn't really work out too well. And I was asking Cliff if he wanted to go before I found out he was going to go. And he immediately is like, I will go back because Twisted Timbers is his favorite RMC. Which I see you getting wide-eyed.
Way.
I see you getting wide-eyed. And I'm like, I got to ask, like, I know it's not your favorite RMC because you obviously have different coasters in your one spot that may or may not be an RMC.
Yeah.
But
and then I do in my publicly accessible spreadsheet of all the coasters that I've ranked and reviewed on YouTube, I do update those very regularly. Yeah, it's not my favorite RMC, but like I don't think that's a stretch either. That's not an opinion that I hear like, wow, that is so far off base that I don't even know how you came to that conclusion. Mm-hmm. And he probably rode it under better conditions. It's getting like more cycles than when I was going there late summer. He was riding it with a full train, I believe. I was riding it with like an empty train half the time. If what you prioritize is like just really strong ejector airtime, with also a little bit of variety, not to just be like very one note, then I could see, I think it does do that better than like Iron Gwazi, which is my favorite RMC, or even Steel Vengeance. It prioritizes like abrupt, or not even abrupt, but it's just strong ejector airtime with a little bit of variety. I guess if airtime's your focus, though, I would still think Steel Vengeance over.
Well, I would think Steel Vengeance. I would think Airy Force 1 with its freaking chili
he just
dip.
went on that. Yeah,
he went on that, and he still prefers Twisted Timber. He actually, this is a direct quote. He said the E&F High Miler at Fun Spot.
Oh, he said that
Georgia was his favorite coaster at that park, which I find kind of hysterical.
I mean, it's not my least favorite hot take.
He also rode Lightning Rod in the same trip as well. And I mean, I think he was pretty let down by that ride. But if you're talking just ejector airtime, the quad down at the end.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so maybe it is a little weirder of a take. But I love it. It's super great. It's up at the top towards top of the list for my favorite RMCs. I personally liken it to Storm Chaser. It just feels a little more cohesive than Storm Chaser. And I do like the triple sustained ejector airtime hills are fantastic. And I guess just to circle back to Steel Vengeance, I think it does like ejector airtime better than Steel Vengeance. Because Steel Vengeance,
I can get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Steel Vengeance has more airtime overall, which I prefer like that aspect of it, that it's just like nonstop, like it's just more. It is just more. Sometimes quantity is better than quality, but
when there's so much of it in comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Like the single like moments of airtime are stronger ejector airtime than Steel Vengeance's ejector airtime. So I don't think it's not a take that upsets me. To each their own.
Okay.
And I like it a lot, so I don't have a problem with that.
What about I-305 as his number one?
It is? Well, that's good.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I understand that like the people are iffy on that ride, and I wasn't too sure like going into it either. Like if it would be like underwhelming or what. The ride is just drops and turns, just one drop, turns, and 2 airtime hills. That is what you can reduce it down to. So if your opinion is that it's not the best thing in the world, I think that is definitely defensible. But me personally, like the aspect, I love that. I'm going to do a full review on this like in a few days too. But I just, the way that it goes through the layout, like just the ferocity. Is that a word? That's a word, right?
Yeah. Ferocity. Yeah. It's ferocious.
It is, man. It just goes through its layout so quickly, so relentless. It's like the quickest parts of Maverick, but that's the whole ride. The airtime hills are a slight bit of a pacing.
That was his biggest issue with it too.
Just question mark, honestly. It's not even the worst thing in the world. It's a nitpick, but pacing is honestly, I think, maybe the most important thing to me as far as a coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels fast-paced the whole way through, even on the airtime hills, because you're not changing direction constantly, but it's like how Millennium Force feels fast the whole way through.
Yeah.
That's how it feels on the airtime hills. So it's like, if that's the worst part about it, is that it's just not constantly changing direction while going over the airtime hills, but you still feel like you're going fast as hell and getting good airtime as well. That's not a problem, man. It's just like, that's not as breakneck as the rest of the ride.
I gotta say, it is easily my number one bucket list coaster in the world at this point.
Yeah, I think it should be on anyone's bucket list just to figure out whether or not you like it.
Yeah.
Don't go in like expecting that you're going to be obsessed with it. But it's so different, man. There's never going to be a Giga like it ever again either. You know, like it is and is probably going to continue to be a very unique ride, especially for just a sit down coaster.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember my bucket list that I had a couple of years ago before our trip last year, because a lot of my bucket list rides were on that list that we were able to check off, including Voyage, which I believe was my number 2. And Voyage, I was pretty disappointed too on the first ride. So it's like, I can't help but be a little worried about I-305, but at the same time, it's like Cliff, someone who also had it that high on his bucket list, immediately was like, this is the craziest thing I've been on in the US. So it makes me a little bit more, or I guess I should say less worried about putting the expectations too high for it. So
yeah. And I mean, just to touch back on the expectations too, like, I was expecting it to be intense, and I still was like, yes, that was intense. I would say it met my expectations, but my expectations were pretty high.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just go into it with an open mind and understand that it may underperform because some people don't care for it that much. It's kind of nice. It's definitely better that like there's not a set like general consensus on it one way or the other. I mean, I think everyone agrees that it's intense, but it's like as far as like being good or bad or preferring it over or less than other rides, it's kind of nice that there's a bit of a mixed opinion out there, so you don't get this sort of like godly view of it stuck in your head, kind of like Steel Vengeance has. I think I can see that being such an underwhelming coaster to someone that's heard everything that everyone has to say about it over the last 5 years or however long it's been open. Oh geez, that's gross. That's a long time. I feel old.
Awful.
Ew. Wow. I was like 5 years. No, that's probably too long. Nope. That's exactly
it's been oh.
That's disgusting, isn't it?
Ooh.
It's disgusting. But I-305 I don't think has that problem because there are at least several differing opinions of it, and not like sort of just like one popular opinion. So that's nice.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because expectations can ruin things.
Where Vengeance is literally like, oh, this is our god. It's like, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, if anything,
like, don't get me wrong.
Better anyway.
It's phenomenal. I think it's amazing. But man, even though I have it in my, what do I have it at? I think I have it at my number 2. I still think it's overrated.
It's number 2 because it's the it's a good thing to be number 2. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, first the worst, second the best,
man.
right?
It's fun. So you know how I said I wasn't going to go in depth or anything, and this was just going to be a brief...
Yeah. Well, if you want more
I'm answering your questions. This is an interview. But yeah, so the overall thing was like, that park is really good. Why is everyone overlooking it? And Busch Gardens Williamsburg is amazing. I don't even need to say that much about it because if you're this deep into the podcast, you're probably very familiar with the coaster sphere and... excuse me. I've probably heard plenty of great things about Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It does have great rides. It's way bigger than I expected it to be. If you go to the park, if by any chance you're listening to this before going, I would say just stick to a path around the park. and just go on whatever ride you're near.
Well, I think that's what
instead
we
of
did
being
with,
like, I want to ride this thing next, because it is like a 20-minute walk from one end of the park to the other.
Yeah.
It is such a big park. Take advantage of the transportation rides. And what else? They don't have wait times posted on the app. They have like 3 wait times on the website. So it is impossible to know what a line is like until you get there. So if you want to go on a ride and it is not a completely atrocious wait and you're nearby it, just go on it, because otherwise you're going to waste more time walking around than standing in line. Beautiful park, wonderful shade. Virginia is a beautiful state in general.
Yeah.
Javi and I want to go back there very badly. And Busch Gardens Williamsburg did not disappoint in that department at all. Food was pretty good. We had one pretzel that was hard as a rock, which was less than desirable, but
I've gotten that at Disneyland
Fest
though,
House,
so it's not too uncommon.
You're rolling the dice when you get a theme park pretzel. I hate to say it.
Like Disneyland, it literally was a Mickey pretzel, right? Supposed to be
you wouldn't
the top
expect that
of the
from
line.
Disneyland too. They push so much.
Oh, and this was
actually
before 2020 as well.
disappointing.
So
that's exceptionally disappointing. Okay,
Yeah.
dude, this is such a tangent.
Please.
And we're deep into the podcast now at this point, so we can just talk about random crap. Auntie Anne's pretzels at Universal never have disappointed. Never.
I have to say that was the best theme park pretzel I've ever had. Was my last day.
Was
at
it
Islands.
not? Oh my god, dude! I'm telling you, better than like a mall Auntie Anne's location, because those are still pretty good. I also have a soft spot for them. I had a long layover in Texas, and they like slightly overcooked my pretzel dog, so they gave me a bunch of free mini little pretzel dogs too. Yeah, Auntie, my dad's sister Anne, she is the best.
I used to be such a Wetzel's boy, because there's a Wetzel's in downtown
There's
Disney.
nothing wrong with Wetzel's,
So every
man.
time we went to Disneyland, we'd be walking back to the car, and I'd be like, "Can I get Wetzel's pretzels?" And that was like my treat afterward, right? If we didn't use the tram. But yeah, after my Auntie Anne's experiences, I think I'm an Auntie Anne's boy now, especially at Islands. The one at Marvel Superhero Island, I don't know what they did to those pretzels, but man, they're so good.
I know. The one in City, Javi and I think, went to every location. We had either like employee discounts or season pass discounts the entire time. So it's like it offsets that disparity between like being normal price and theme park overpriced. So that's already a problem taken care of there.
Yeah.
And every single location at that resort, they're fire. So that's my other suggestion for the episode.
Let's just say this.
Go to Auntie Anne's if you want a theme park pretzel, but don't go anywhere else.
I went to Islands.
Otherwise, you're rolling the dice. You can, but like my mom loves theme park pretzels, but like she's disappointed with them like 75% of the time. Same with churros, man. You're rolling the dice. That's it.
So the last time I was in Florida was for Gwazi, right? So I only had
correct.
I only had 2 days, or 3, I guess, in total, because it was a last second trip. We were invited to media day. I was like, I have to go. I mean, I got a new number 1 out of it. Gwazi's amazing. I miss it so much. I miss Busch Gardens Tampa, to be honest. But after that day, I had an extra day, so we did SeaWorld, and then we went over to Islands because I wanted to ride Icebreaker, get that credit in, and then I just wanted to visit Islands again because it's one of my favorite parks in all the world, right? I kid you not, I had to fly out that night, and instead of riding Hulk on my way out as the last thing to do at Islands of Adventure before I would no longer have a pass and not visit the park for I don't know how long, was buy the Auntie Anne's pretzel. And I kid you not, I bought that as my last thing, sat underneath the Cobra roll for about 10 minutes just eating it and going, man, I'm going to miss this place. And then I walked out.
That's wild. That's stupid. But there you go. That's how
I
good
also
they
had
are.
been on Hulk so many times that I think I had like 20 rides on it at that point, in total over that year-long span that I was kind of in Florida on and off a little bit. But yeah, that was the last thing I did at Islands of Adventure.
That's pretty funny.
Was eat an Auntie Anne's pretzel, and it was one of the best decisions I made at that park.
Dude, I'm so glad. I feel so validated in that opinion because Javi and I we're ride or die for them, and glad to know we're not the only ones.
I think it's just that they put so much more butter on it because it was super buttery. Be more butter.
I think it's just because they push them out, man. There's always like a line for it, and I'll wait. Like, dude, because like Knott's Berry Farm and some of the other Cedar Fair parks too also have the best Panda Express.
Yeah.
Knott's Berry Farm has the best Panda, like the freshest Panda Express. They have limited options. But it's just because they're pushing it out. There's always a line. It's always fresh versus like Javi and I, for those of you who don't know, Javi's my girlfriend. That's the name of the person I keep bringing up. We've been disappointed by like Panda Express like so many times when we go, like not at a theme park, because we eat food at like weird hours. Like we don't eat meals at like normal meal times. So like if it's like 3 p.m, okay, well they haven't pushed much orange chicken between like 2 and 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's like it's gross, but at the theme park they're always pushing that crap out. So
well, I will say
theme
this.
parks, chain places at theme parks can either be so terrible or significantly better.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Rockets, don't even get me started.
Yeah,
Johnny Rockets at a Six Flags park, I'd rather eat the pavement.
Even at Knott's, it's not good.
See, I wouldn't know. I've never gone because I'm already like I see Johnny Rockets. Theme parks, Johnny Rockets. No.
I went once and Zach got his classic double burger with barbecue sauce and nothing
Plain
else.
Burger with only barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Yummy.
And even my mushroom Swiss was pretty. Yeah. But yeah,
so
even
Panda, Antians,
I will say Panda's kind of iffy though, because CGA's Panda was
really
not good.
Well, okay, so that's why I said at some of the parks, but Knott's is like always busy.
But the Knott's one is great.
So-
It's a full restaurant. The CGA one is just, or at least it used to be, just a shack. And there was only specific meals that you could get there. There was like 4 options. Whereas the Knott's one, it's a full Panda. You could choose whatever you want.
Like
and the portion size is like twice as big. And it's on meal plan. Like that is the best Panda Express in the world.
I know. We would like when we would frequent that park, we would get free Panda Express all the time. The best thing ever, man. And until the pandemic too, they also had like their sauces like out and about. Panda Express is like so stingy with their sauces. Like, can I get some soy sauce? They give you like 1 packet. And like, can I get some more? 1 packet at a time. But they had it in a bowl, man.
Remember
from Cedar Point? Are you gonna bring that up?
Yeah,
at Cedar Point, I took a handful of their chili sauce because they have like their chili sauce, man, is so much better than sriracha.
Well, okay,
what are we even talking about in this podcast, man?
The Panda Express at Cedar Point.
It's theme park related, I swear.
In 2019, it closed an hour earlier than was scheduled, right? So we were like, this Panda Express is cursed. We went back last year, and it was open the hour after it was supposed to close.
Yep. The sign, like we went over there because we weren't sure. The app doesn't really say like what the hours are, because I understand it fluctuates, staffing, whatever. But we saw the sign out front said it was closed like half an hour before we'd gotten there. Yeah. And then it stayed open till like half an hour after we'd like had first stopped.
And we got like the last batches of some of the meals.
That's an extra hour. But the food there is decent. Like it's fresher than your average Panda. The problems we've had at that place is just operationally, like, or service.
Yeah. But actually the people that were serving us that night were actually incredibly nice. And
very communicative. Communication goes such a long way. And they were like, hey guys, just so you know, so you don't wait in this whole line, we have almost nothing. So I'm letting you know now. So
my favorite part of it though was right before we get to the cash register, Mario goes, oh, the sauce is out.
Oh my God. Over
yes, dude, and just grabs handfuls and puts it in his bag.
I'm pretty sure I like only recently like used my like last chili packet from Panda, because it's so much better than like regular sriracha. That stuff's normally too sweet for me. So good. But, and the mustard, the spicy mustard.
I don't know. I've only been having hot one sauce lately, so because I got that for Christmas, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
See, they don't have that at a theme park though. So.
Yeah, no, not yet. Hey, maybe. Yo, actually, speaking of hot sauce, I still gotta try the Montezuma's Revenge hot sauce from Knott's.
Oh yeah, there's another loose theme park tie in it.
Yeah. We keep going back to Knott's and how good Knott's is with food.
Maybe we could do that on the podcast, like do a little taste test of the Montezuma's Revenge hot sauce.
I'm down, honestly. That would be kind of fun.
Maybe for an in-person one. Who knows? What else? Yeah, okay. Check talk about Auntie Anne's for half an hour off the docket.
And Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda.
It was definitely on the notes to talk about.
I have a really bad habit of calling Panda Express Kung Fu Panda, and it's really bad.
That's so weird.
Like I don't know why.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, they both
say the panda's in it. So I mean, it makes sense from that perspective. But
I think of like the Kung Pao chicken.
There you go.
But that's still not kung fu, so like I don't know where it.
Kung and panda. There's like 2 out of 3 word crossover there, so I think you're chilling, man.
I will
It's
say
not the dumbest thing either of us has ever thought. So.
one day we should go to the Panda Inn, the original restaurant.
Oh, I mean, I'm assuming that's out here.
It's very good. It's very, very good.
Okay.
Well, it was in 2014.
Do they have a credit?
No credit. Some good chicken though. Yeah. It's in LA, so somewhere. I forget where.
How long have we been going?
Just over an hour. Well, probably just at an hour now.
Minutes. Go ahead and comment if you want us to keep this episode going. Stupid.
I mean, if we were doing it live, maybe eventually. Doubt it though.
If I could figure the switching out like half decently, then going live would actually be half okay. You'd have to be able to stream your phone. Do we want to talk about any of this other stuff?
I mean,
Six Flags has a new app.
Yeah, they do.
My phone's over there, so I wouldn't.
I haven't really looked at the app yet.
Maybe we'll look at that next time.
Yeah, maybe we could do that next time.
My hopes are not high, but it can't be much worse than having a 5-year out-of-date park map.
True. Yeah, Green Lantern was still at Magic Mountain on the map.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
So let's hope it's not. What else? More Magic Mountain.
I do have a question or two about some of the Virginia parks, maybe, if we could circle back to that.
Sure.
Alpengeist or Pantheon?
Are you asking me this because Cliff had the crazy take that he likes Alpengeist better?
Yeah. Is that a crazy take to you? Or is that... I guess that's more of what I'm asking. Is that outlandish?
A little bit.
Okay.
I feel like Pantheon, I didn't notice a ton of positive G-forces, I guess. So if you're looking for intensity, Alpengeist is more intense. I just feel like Pantheon is like more well-rounded and like nothing about coaster opinions is really objective, but to immediately contradict that, I feel like it like measurably is more varied.
Well, I think it's super interesting because he is such a Velocicoaster stan. Like, dude had it his number 1 over Gwazi. I think it's now officially his number 2 because of I-305. But
yeah,
so I figured Pantheon, he should like that, a considerable amount.
Close to as much.
And yeah, apparently that is not the case whatsoever. So
that's really weird. Yeah,
I figured I'd ask.
I think Alpengeist is my favorite invert, though.
I mean, that's understandable.
The scale of it is just insane.
Yeah,
and I'd heard that it's like a little uncomfortable, a little shaky. I mean, for the scale of that thing, it was pretty fine.
Well, if you think about Banshee, Banshee's shorter, right? Is Banshee shorter?
Shorter height-wise? I think so.
Yeah, let me look. Now I'm unsure. Banshee. Banshee is 167. I think Alpengeist is what, like 190 something?
It's like 195, I think.
Yeah, Alpengeist 195.
It feels massive, dude. Yeah. And you're like dropping into a ravine too, so it's like the height from like the lift to the ground. I don't know what that difference is. I don't know if that's what they're measuring as like total height or.
It says the drop
in
is
elevation,
170.
170. Mm-hmm. So it feels massive,
which is still taller than Banshee altogether. So.
It honestly runs like as far as it rides on the track pretty comparable to Banshee, maybe even smoother. It's just obviously you have bulky over the shoulder restraints, so like there is a potential for head banging. It has one of the most messed up Cobra rolls out there. It's just like a bigger version of like Raptor's like stupid whippiness in and out of it.
It's closer to Raptor than Hulk, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hulk feels a little more cohesive, like it still has the good whip to it, but it feels like more of one cohesive element as opposed to like. I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
I mean,
but
like
Raptor
is
like a little.
But, yeah.
Like it feels like it's broken down into multiple sections, divided by those breakneck whips.
Yeah.
And in my vlog of it, you could see me riding it and going, Jesus Christ! Like, I'm not one for being verbal on coasters. I'm normally just like, wee. But on that one, I was like, holy crap! Like I felt the need to scream about it. That's how insane it was. And then it's just a good long ride, man. It's freaking amazing. So I mean, I don't know. He can like that better than Pantheon. That's good for him. But yeah, like you said, the logic doesn't super track in my mind.
Yeah,
because I place it relatively like in the same area as Velocicoaster because it is like the same model.
Yeah.
And it's still super fun.
I mean,
it was
sometimes
on one train a lot. So
sometimes not everything lines up exactly like you'd want it to. So you never know exactly. So,
but that park's coaster lineup also has like checks all the boxes as far as like scaling and intensity.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's definitely
but
more
it has
thrill
fewer
than anything,
coasters, man. It has like noticeably fewer coasters. Like
I
it didn't feel like there was
9?
like a lack of things to do there. 9, maybe 10 now with Dark Coaster.
Let me see. 10 officially.
And then what does
Dominion?
King's Dominion have? Like 13 or 14, and both those have a kiddie coaster, so like knock one off that you can't even.
Dominion
really ride,
has
you can ride the kiddie one.
13.
13?
And that's not including
the addition of
racers,
Dark
two
Coaster
different
probably
coasters.
Helps. They got rid of Mock Tower, which was the drop tower at
You were the only
Busch Gardens,
person I've
Williamsburg.
ever heard that liked Mock Tower.
Oh, the restraints are awful, man. They like clamped my arms. Like that was like the biggest problem. It just felt like it was falling with like literally no wind resistance. Like it just fell so well.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Fair
else to
enough.
say it. You can see my reaction on that too. But
Yeah.
I also was like, "Ah!" Like I had a truly embarrassing, debated, not even posting it reaction to that. That's how much the drop.
The
got
sound
me.
you made was spectacular. I guess
It was visceral, bro. It was. I couldn't even recreate it without like
You have to be
scaring the
on
whole
it.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a well-rounded park. But like those 3 extra coasters make a difference. Like I didn't dislike any of the coasters.
3 coasters are going to make a difference at pretty much any park, as long
what
as
I
they're
mean.
not.
I'm like
super small.
So it's just perplexing to me why so many enthusiasts like undoubtedly hold Busch Gardens Williamsburg over King's Dominion, because I see them on like a relatively level playing field with each park doing one thing or another slightly better. But they are both very awesome, very well-rounded parks with great ride collections and more to them than just coasters.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, finally is concluding that little rant about not really messing with the general consensus of those 2 parks. Because yeah, they're both so good.
Then again, when it comes to general consensus on parks, we are typically in the minority with a lot of this stuff. Like Cedar Point, we think is just meh overall.
Yeah.
Like without counting all the amazing coasters that they have.
Well, that's another one of those parks that, in my opinion, that's a just coaster park.
Yeah. Where like Kings Island, we adore. There's so much more to do than just the coasters there.
Yes. Well, and people have that opinion of Kings Island, and it's like
Yeah.
Kings Dominion is like a slightly smaller version of that.
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't understand why that's not tracking, but then Williamsburg, Busch is getting all the credit, which it deserves, but it's like they both do. And like I even saw like on someone's Instagram story, they were saying it's a trash park, Kings Dominion. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, could you imagine someone calling Kings Island trash? It's like no one has said that.
Well, I've seen people say that, and I'm like, what? How? Please tell me how.
But then that would also be people's reaction to it, you know? Like I don't know.
But then again,
I don't.
I've had pretty unlikable experiences at California's Great America and very enjoyable experiences at Discovery Kingdom, and I'm definitely in the minority on that because everybody I've ever talked to is like, how is that possible? And I'm like, well, I've been to both the park 3 or 4 times each, and I've had a better time at Discovery Kingdom almost every single time, if not every single time. So I don't know.
There's more to do, but yeah. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of other parks.
Opinions.
Other parks that we have a dissenting opinion on. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, people are really high on Kentucky Kingdom, but I think it's more so for what it is.
Except for that one hotel manager. I don't know. He thinks it fell off.
Oh my God. Did we told people that, right? Yeah, last episode.
I think so. Oh man, we did not forget that on the trip. Whenever something was bad for the next like 3 or 4 days, we were like, oh man, that fell off.
Yep. Even if it was our first time experiencing it, it was just the.
Yeah, we were literally like,
trip,
we were sitting in Holiday World in the AC-less Plymouth Rock Cafe or whatever it's called, where you get chicken or not
AC
chicken.
list dungeon.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, the
Turkey.
we literally were like, man, the AC fell off.
Well, that was true. Something about the AC definitely fell off, and I got to put it back on for that thing to work.
Yeah, and I was eating the turkey, and I'm like, oh man, the turkey fell off because it was super dry. Yeah. But
the turkey baster fell off. Yeah.
But yeah,
we have stuff about Magic Mountain in the docket. I guess we could save that for next time.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we're
in the
definitely
notes that
over
we have
an hour.
on this Google Doc. Drew just told me that I like to beep 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 Magic Mountain. He basically said I'd like to say not nice stuff about it. That's not true. I just like
well,
to
you've
be
also
fair.
not had the best experiences at the park, where I have had fairly good overall.
But your experiences are catching up with mine, and I think everyone else's are as well. There used to be the argument that I just had bad luck, but now it seems like it's evening out, and everyone's having issues sometimes. So I guess we'll get into that next time. But there's a stupid little topic in here that I'm excited to talk about next time. This one right here. I don't know if you're looking at the doc.
Well, yeah, I can look at the.
It's I guess I'll tease it for next time. Six Flags Magic Mountain's coaster record, is it even legit? That's basically the thesis, if you will.
If we're gonna
we'll get into it next time. We'll get into it next time because this is like a whole thing. We're already considerably deep.
Because let's be real here.
Epi.
The next park that has the most coasters is Energylandia, and that place does not have half of its rides operating every day.
Okay. But we just
so technically Canada's Wonderland could be.
No, we're not gonna. We can't talk about it. You're gonna get me talking. You're gonna get me going fully into it. But we'll save that. We'll save that as the headliner.
Fine.
Or
well, maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
The beef of the next episode.
Yeah, maybe.
Dude, okay, this is so disjointed.
Wait, what?
This is just why isn't Taco Bell at any theme parks?
What?
I know it'd be like $30 for a Crunchwrap, but Taco Bell should be at theme parks.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if that's a good idea.
No, everyone loves to meme that Taco Bell gives you diarrhea. Taco Bell does not give you
I'm
diarrhea.
Just saying, like, at the parks that it would go to, they already have fairly good Mexican cuisine.
No, Mexican food at parks is so mid unless it's a food event, and you know it. Like the with peace and love to Knott's Berry Farm, the burrito place was just like fine.
I will say for meal plan having the burritos on there, I would definitely take that.
It's a great meal plan option
over Taco Bell for sure.
No,
if I had to
I'd
pay
take
for
Taco Bell.
each of them, then I might go Taco Bell just because Taco Bell would be cheaper. Theoretically.
Taco Bell's getting expensive, man.
I haven't been in a very long time. I'm kind of sad about it, but also they took away my quesarito, and I'm still mad.
We'll do coaster enthusiasts eating crunch wraps on coasters.
With the Montezuma's
like
Revenge
comedians
hot
getting
sauce.
in cars getting coffee.
Well, I could see it at Magic Mountain, maybe. Probably not, though.
I could see it everywhere, and I would eat it everywhere. I ate Taco Bell like 5 hours ago, and I have not had diarrhea.
Well, what's the... I was going to say, what's the new chain that's been popping up at parks lately? And I think it's Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A just popped up bless you, at Busch. But they're not open on Sundays.
Thank you.
So on one of the busiest days of the week, they have a full restaurant closed.
I know, that is insane, man. Like,
and
how does that end up
I know
at a
that was
park
the case
when
at Cedar
parks are-
Point when we went prior, but they took that out. That location was gone the next time we went.
They don't have Chick-fil-A anymore?
Yeah, it's gone. It was removed like 3 months before we went.
Yeah, it's not a great business model to have it closed on one of the busier days of the week.
Like, if it's just a fast food restaurant all around the country, sure, you know, that can work fine.
Well, of course,
but when
that's
you're
still
in a
6
theme
out of
park,
7 versus like 1 out of 2 on off season, and you know.
Yeah, especially on off season. Like some of these parks that have
that's what I'm
them,
thinking is like off season.
I think Williamsburg has one. I'm not 100% sure, but if they did,
I don't remember.
half of the year they're only open Saturday, Sunday. So like
I know like Carowinds does, and Carowinds is weekends a lot of the off season.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
But but Taco Bell's better than Chick-fil-A anyway. Hate me in the comments if you want. I don't know how I even got to Taco Bell.
I don't know either. You just kind of went boom, Taco Bell.
Well, okay, because we were talking about the fast food in parks.
I know
or
we
the
were
chains
talking
in
about
parks,
Panda Express.
and I had that
but,
thought. I had that thought, and I forgot about it, but I remembered it, so I wanted to share it. Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
What ride would be the hardest to eat a Crunchwrap Supreme?
What the what?
X2. X2
no.
Probably. Let's reach out to Magic Mountain and see if they will let us do a eating Crunchwrap Supremes on X2.
I'm gonna
challenge.
say probably not.
Magic Mountain, Mr. Six. I've never said anything bad about this park ever. If you would like us to eat Crunchwraps on X2, we are very open to the possibility of doing this. And by very open, I mean I really want to do it. Are you open, Mr. Six? Are you open for business? What's the business? Me eating a Crunchwrap on X2. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. I rest my case.
Yeah, we'll see if Mr. Six gets back to you on that one. But I guess we'll have to find out next time. But yeah, I think we're gonna end there because we're just gonna start rambling about the best meals on Taco Bell's.
We'll end it before
this
this starts to get incoherent.
Yeah.
Because
like
it totally
hasn't
hasn't gotten there yet. Yeah, no, we're.
But yeah, I want to say thank you all so much for watching and listening. Go on, please.
If you've watched this far in the video, comment your opinions on Taco Bell and tell me how. If you've watched this far, ask Magic Mountain to Taco Bell us on X2.
I do hate to bring this up. It was voted #1 Mexican restaurant in the U.S. like multiple years running, but I think it's because most of the country has never actually had.
I'll definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I would never, ever, ever pretend that it's Mexican food, but I would never, ever pretend that I don't want to eat a Crunchwrap on.
I mean, that's understandable. Yeah, I don't classify it as Mexican food, but it's tasty. It's definitely not Mexican food though.
But yeah, so comment your Taco Bell order in the comments.
Bean squirter.
Go ahead and let us know what your go-to Taco Bell item is.
What is this? I mean, we're loopy. Not actually though.
And we're dudes. What's up? Yep, Loopy Doods.
Ka-chow.
That's the name of the show.
Imagine if Zach was here doing sound bites. This would be an absolute.
I do have that little song that he recorded. If we want if we want to be played out by Zach's song.
I mean, we can be. I forgot our ending tagline again.
Stay loopy, bro. Come on. Is that not it? We don't know what we're doing, y'all. God, I feel so bad. I am sorry if you watch this, but thanks.
I was trying to like say you say stay loopy and then it like fades with the song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, everyone, for watching. Thanks everyone who watched this, whether or not you're a guy. And like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to this podcast for more loopy shenanigans. Check out Drew's channel, Parks Bros. He puts effort in his videos and it shows, and they're good, and I like them.
You know who puts out better content? Mario from Mostly Coasters. You should check him out.
Oh, you reversed me. Thank you, man. But yeah, until next time.
Stay loopy.
We like to do a bunch of loops. And we don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We don't do drugs. We only like to ride coasters, no drugs. We don't do drugs. Drugs are for people that we don't do drugs.